Let's talk about cell tower lease rates in 2024. How much rent do cell towers pay, or will cell towers pay in the year of 2024? That's a question that lots of people are looking for, and a question that, frankly, not a lot of people have the answer for. As we've said, for over 16 years now at Tower Genius, cell tower lease rates, cell site lease rates are determined on a site-by-site, case-by-case basis, and the value of a cell site is determined by a number of different factors. When we have a newly proposed cell site on a rooftop, or other structure like a smokestack, or even on the side of a billboard, or if you have a ground lease, a cell tower ground lease, we have to take a look at the site individually. Got to take a look at what type of property classification it is. Is it in an agricultural zone? Is it in a residential area? Is it in a commercial area, industrial, etc.? So we have to take a look at the ordinance. What does that municipality or county require for a cell site, property to be? What type of regulations are there for setbacks, for example? Some of these properties, you might think you have a site that's a good site for a cell site, but it doesn't meet zoning requirements. They might need to get a variance at a hearing to allow that cell site to be put up there. So there are a number of factors that you have to consider. If you have a bunch of properties that are of similar quality, similar parameters in an area where there is a need for cell site coverage, and Verizon or AT&T, T-Mobile, et cetera, wants to put a cell site there, well, they could choose from 20 different properties, let's say. So you're not going to be able to require them to pay $2,000 or $3,000 a month. Or if you tell them, hey, I want $4,000 a month, well, they're just going to go next door, where you might have Mrs. McGillicuddy who wants to lease the site for $500. There's nothing that you can do to stop that if it's of a similar quality, similar type of site, right? So if you have a comparable property where you have a property owner that's willing to do the deal on the cheap, you're not going to get $2,000 or $3,000 a month. Even if someone's telling you, well, the average cell tower lease rate for rent on a ground lease in Washington County, name your state, is $750 a month or $1,500 a month, and you have Mrs. McGillicuddy who's willing to do the deal for $400 a month, and you have other properties where they could go, you're not going to be able to exercise that leverage the same way that if you had the only viable property in a residential area where there's nothing else where they could put this. Let's say you're a church and you're in a residential area surrounded by single family homes, and this church has a 3-acre property in the middle of the town. Well, most likely that's going to be the only viable location to put this site up according to their zoning ordinance in your municipality or county. And the church might be able to get $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000 a month. And a 5 is probably a little bit high, but certainly they'd get $1,000 or $2,000, right? So again, every single one of these proposals needs to be looked at on a case-by-case basis. There's a different value, again, if it's a direct carrier lease. Let's say if T-Mobile or Verizon or AT&T wanted to put their antennas in that church's steeple, and they were required to stealth it or even replace it with a camouflaged replacement. That might cost the carrier $1 million. Let's say if it's a real high-end area where they required certain requirements, it could easily run up high 6 or low 7 figures to get a stealth cell site built. Let's say a fake bell tower at a cemetery or at a church, and they had to build it to be able to support 3 or 4 tenants in there. So if you're the only game in town, then you're going to be able to have more leverage to get a better rate, if that makes sense. Okay. Oftentimes you'll have a developer, ABC Tower Company, representing Verizon or AT&T or T-Mobile or Dish, that will or U.S. Cellular, let's say, not really U.S. Cellular, but let's just say they're representing a tower company. They're going to come in and they're going to probably offer you $600 or $700 because they need to make money. They are going to build the tower, they're going to pay for the tower, and T-Mobile or Verizon will become their tenants, and they're going to get about $2,000 roughly from that carrier, and the rent that you receive will come from that rental amount. So if you have a developer coming to your property, chances are you're not going to get $2,500 a month or more. So that's just the economics of it. Now, if there's a rooftop cell site being proposed by Dish or T-Mobile or AT&T, chances are you're going to get a better rate than you would on a ground lease on a tower because you are the tower company if you have that rooftop. Now, the only challenge is if you have other competing rooftops of similar height and characteristics that are comparable to yours, then chances are if you ask them for $3,000 a month or $4,000, let's say if you're in a beach community like here in Fort Walton Beach, Florida, where I'm located, and you're one of these hotels or condos that is a high rise on the ocean, and you want $4,000 or $5,000 a month, which is not unheard of for a rooftop cell site, but they could just go across the street or the building next door for $3,000 or $2,000, then they'll do that most of the time. So they will look for the path of least resistance on these. So if you're the only game in town, if you are a high-rise condominium, let's say on the ocean, and there's no other high-rise for another quarter mile, chances are you will be able to get a higher rooftop rental payment from the carriers. And those are direct carrier leases without a middleman, without a tower company in the middle of that deal. You'll get a better deal. So if you're wondering about cell tower lease rates, what are they worth in 2024? Companies located in Southern California that are there to reduce your rent, there are some of these third-party companies that do rent reductions. They'll tell you that the rents are coming down. And that may or may not be accurate. Rents are not coming down for Tower Genius clients. I can tell you that. That's why it pays to have a professional on your side. And there's plenty of free information in our videos and on our website. Hopefully you'll find that helpful. We do like to provide a lot of information for our listeners. And, look, you probably could figure it out on your own with all the free stuff that we have. If you want to really arm yourself in a negotiation and you want to have the best guidance possible and have seasoned professionals on your side to help guide you and help to determine what that specific rental price would be, it pays to hire Tower Genius to have an expert on your side. The carriers, the wireless industry will have experts on their side, and the tables are definitely in their favor. Let's say the scales when you're in one of these negotiations. So most of these property owners are not set up for success, and that's why it really does pay to have someone walk through those transactions with you. And that's a service that we provide here at Tower Genius Transactional Coaching Consulting to help you make sure that if your cell site is worth $3,500 a month, that you don't do the deal for $1,500 a month. Or if your cell site is worth, $2,000 a month, but the best that you're going to get for it is $800, then maybe you don't do the deal, or you do the deal for $800, but you structure it in a way where you can get additional revenue from tenants when they add additional tenants to that cell site. So again, each cell site is determined on a site-by-site basis in 2024 and beyond. If you have questions about the value of your particular cell tower location, if it's a new cell site or if it's an existing telecommunications site that needs to be renewed, give us a call at Tower Genius. Our number is 888-313-9750. Or visit us at towergenius.com and fill out a contact form. We'll be back with you shortly. Thank you.